Welcome, everyone. This is the Knicks off-season special presented by Get Your Guide, Unforgettable Travel Experiences. Great to have you with us from our Delta MSG studios. Bill Pidto, along with Hahn and Wally Szczerbiak. 'Tis the season of the developing situations. We got things happening all around the league. We'll get you caught up on what's happening. Of course, free agency begins next Friday. The draft was last night. Someone here picked the NBA champion again. We will not get into that now, but that's also coming up.
You know.
Draft night last night. Knicks, of course, guys, didn't have a draft pick, and there was no suspense about who was going to go number one. Tell us all, Wally, why Victor Wembanyama is supposed to be a generational talent.
It's going to be really exciting. The league needs someone to kind of take that torch from LeBron James. LeBron James, 20 years ago, when he was picked, he lived up to all the expectations, maybe the greatest of all time, right there with Michael Jordan. Now the NBA needs someone to take that torch, to carry that torch, to continue to keep these fans just so excited about the game of basketball. The game of basketball continues to grow worldwide. We saw it with the draft when Wembanyama's coming in from France, a lot of other guys coming in from France. Canada's had a lot of guys that are coming into the NBA playing great basketball. This is a sport that is continuing to grow, and this guy is a unicorn or whatever you want to call him, and he's a guy I've never seen with this skill level at this size on the NBA basketball floor, and I've watched a lot of basketball in my 46 years. I cannot wait to see him in a Spurs uniform, Alan. It's going to be a treat to watch this guy play basketball in the NBA because his skill set is perfect for the NBA. This is exactly what you want. You want a guy that can shoot the basketball, that can light it up from deep, and that's what he can do. He can shoot it from deep. He can put it on the floor. He can also post up, and defensively, he's a problem because he can block shots at 7'5".
Now, again, you talked about popularity. He's the 8th most viewed player on NBA social media accounts through last season, this past season. He's not even in the league yet. He's already top 10 in popularity among fans. So you know what's coming into the league. And he's only 19 years old. And you mentioned Greg Popovich. You think he knows how to develop a big man? I mean, you had David Robinson, who won a couple of championships, became a Hall of Famer. Tim Duncan comes along, 5 championships, a Hall of Famer. And now it's Wemby time in San Antonio.
Don't forget about Popovich and his success with foreign-born players. Yep. Aside from the big guys,
Absolutely,
you got Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, Boris Diaw. Popovich may coach till he's 80.
You know what's really cool about Wembanyama, too, is the fact that LeBron James is talking about this guy like he's a complete difference maker. Yep. Giannis Antetokounmpo, Steph Curry. I mean, these are top players of all time, surefire Hall of Famers, and they are just so excited to see this guy play in the NBA. It's going to be a treat.
All right, more on what makes Wembanyama so unique coming up later. We're calling it the
Wemby Wall.
Yeah,
yes,
that's
we can call it the Wemby Wall tonight. Absolutely.
Alan doesn't like it. Number
Respect.
2 overall,
Respect.
Brandon Miller out of Alabama went to Charlotte. And what's interesting here, guys, is the fit potentially here, Alan, with LaMelo Ball. What do you think?
Well, I think it's a great fit. I mean, this guy, first of all, prototype of what NBA players are and what teams are looking for. 6'9". Look at the wingspan at 6'11". Those 3-and-D kind of wings, guys that can score, and he can score different levels. Look at the shooting percentage from 3. That's always a big part of this as well. This guy comes in as a guy that, like, the top of this draft has guys ready to play right away. You don't always get that, but you got it this year.
I love this guy, I really do. I watched him all year in college basketball. He played an outstanding system at Alabama where he could literally play all 5 positions on a college basketball floor. He handles the ball in pick and roll, and he is an outstanding three-point shooter and shooter from distance. And that's what you need to be a star in the NBA. You have to be able to shoot the ball at a high percentage from range and also off the dribble, and he definitely has that part of his game.
You know, overall, big picture, this is an interesting time, guys, for the Hornets. Michael Jordan talks to sell the team. For what could be a profit around $2 billion, which, if that happens, would be more than he's made in his life from Nike. Do you believe that?
Hey,
that's owning a sports franchise.
Like I said, the NBA is the golden goose. It continues to grow as a league. It is just such a captivating sport, the game of basketball, and it's just so exciting to see this league continue to get better and better and better. There's Michael Jordan. I mean, he is an outstanding golfer, outstanding basketball player, as we know.
One of the draft picks he made.
Yeah, it didn't work out great as an owner, but he went in and bought a franchise that acts at the perfect time when the NBA just absolutely exploded as a league. The league is going to miss him a little bit. You know, he was the face of that franchise. It would have been nice to see that Hornets franchise be a little bit more successful. But there's no doubt in my mind that Michael Jordan will find something else to be successful at.
All right, didn't have great success on the court, but off the court, boy, what a prophet. Yeah. All right, number 3, the Portland guys overall, Allen, Scoot Henderson, all the talk with the Trailblazers and Dame Lillard. You wonder if Henderson at 6'2" can play at the same time with Lillard in terms of their fit, in terms of their size.
Well, if there's anybody that has the confidence to do it, it certainly is Scoot Henderson. I mean, this is a guy that has dominated the last 2 years in G League Ignite, which has been now becoming a breeding ground for NBA players, not just coming out of college. But Scoot said, like, his goal is to be Rookie of the Year. I mean, he's already just put that out there that he wants to be able to do that. And he's also openly talked, not maybe personally, but he has talked to Damian Lillard through media conversations saying, you don't want to leave here. You want to be part of what we've got growing here. But Lillard has said publicly that he doesn't really want to be around for a rebuild. So we'll watch now and see what Joe Cronin does, a GM in Portland. If going forward now, off this, I mean, 2 first-round draft picks. Keegan Murray's brother, Chris, was also drafted 23. That was the Knicks pick, by the way, they used with Josh Hart when they acquired him. So when now you have these young players and you have an older player in Damian Lillard, it is the question of where do they go from here? And the whole league is waiting to see if Lillard will say, get me out of here.
Scoot's ready to play right now. He's ready to contribute. You put him alongside Damian Lillard. I think his skill set, especially defensively, that's one of his major strengths. I think he's going to be a really good defender. He has a very good, solid head on his shoulders. I think he's a real pro. I think he's experienced beyond his years. He showed that on the G League Ignite team. So it's going to be interesting to see what Portland does. But they have a surefire star. I don't know if Scoot Henderson has the upside of Wembanyama and Brandon Miller, but I think you know what you're going to get. You're going to get a really good player for a long time in the league.
All right, so that's pick 1, pick 2, pick 3. How about 4 through 10? How about the Thompson twins going 4 and 5? Then you have Orlando and the Pacers. The Wizards, a lot to talk about with them. Utah and the Dallas Mavericks. And, of course, that was the pick, if it had been below 10, would have gone to the Knicks. But it was top 10 protected for the Mavericks, and they took Wallace with that spot. Who do you like there on the board there? We've talked about picks 1 through 3. What do you like in terms of 4 through 10?
I love Jarris Walker. He was well coached in college by Kelvin Sampson on Houston. He plays defense. He's strong. He could be Larry Johnson. He could be that good. He's a physical specimen, strong. He can shoot it. Didn't get an opportunity to be as involved in the offense, but was a high percentage shooter when he got his chances. I think once you get him in the NBA game, with his strength, with his size, with his versatility, he's got Larry Johnson type skills.
All right. He's always right. Mark it down. When we come back, we're talking Knicks. Free agency begins and next Friday. They have some decisions to make. We'll discuss and continue right after this. Welcome back as we continue with the Knicks off-season special presented by Get Your Guide. We'll have an off-season special here on July 6th. After the free agency period, we'll be on at 8 o'clock right here on MSG. And the hockey crew with John Giannone will be on at 9 o'clock on the night of July 6th. All right, here's what is ahead for the Knicks. Josh Hart, so effective. Player option. He has talked about the fact that he is going to opt out likely. Derrick Rose, team option. We'll see about that. Miles McBride, team option. And Emmanuel Quickly and Obi Toppin can be signed to extensions prior to opening night. Each of these two guys have 1 more year left on their rookie deals. They can be extended beyond that if the deal is done before next opening night. All right, Wally, topic number 1 here, Josh Hart. When he suited up for the Knicks, they went 17-8. He averaged 10-7, and he seemed to get every critical rebound. He seemed to get every critical loose ball. It seems like he is a great fit for this Knicks team.
Outstanding, perfect fit. I think he's a guy that the Knicks need on this roster to just solidify, be that glue guy, do those things that he did right when he got traded. The Knicks went on a 10-game winning streak when he came over. He is the ultimate pro. He's right in the middle of his prime. He can shoot the basketball. He can rebound the basketball. He can run pick and roll, push the ball up the floor. He can defend with a vengeance, too. He did a great job defensively on a lot of star guys at his position, plus the chemistry aspect. He loves New York, loves playing with Jalen Brunson, really likes playing for Tom Thibodeau. So I think it was just a perfect trade at the perfect time, and I think it's going to be paid off with keeping Josh Hart in a New York Knicks uniform for a long time, and I think it would be a great move.
Oh, man, you talk about trades that you can make where it's the immediate impact. And a lot of times you make a trade, especially at the trade deadline, and coaches will say, we're going to ease him in. He's got to learn. He's got to figure out where he fits on the team. And I remember the first game that he played, Tom Thibodeau said, maybe we'll put him in. We'll let him get his feet wet. But he hasn't really practiced with us yet. He played 28 minutes in that game, and he made such an impact just from hustle plays. He called himself a dog. And that's a good thing. He's that kind of player. He fits the culture they're trying to build here, and he definitely is a fit for the future.
Then there's the case of Manuel Quickley. The Knicks can't extend him. Wally, they don't have to. As a starter this year, he averaged over 22 a game. Great off the bench. Struggled a bit in the playoffs before he got hurt. Going to be very interesting to see how the Knicks proceed with Emmanuel Quickley.
Yeah, it's all about negotiations. That's the beauty. That's what agents are there to figure out with the front office. But I don't see any reason why you don't want to extend Emmanuel Quickley. This is a guy you got late in the first round. You groomed him. He worked his butt off to become an impactful NBA player. He has starter capabilities. When he got the opportunity to start, he put up outstanding numbers. Again, fit. Chemistry is perfect with him and Tom Thibodeau in this system. He can flat out shoot. We were blown away by his defense this year, guys. Yeah. He guards multiple positions. He's one of the best analytical defenders in the NBA, and he is a homegrown pick of the New York Knicks that your fans just love to see grow. And he continues to grow and get better. I don't see any reason why you don't extend him at the right price.
That's where I was going to go, is that you've spent a couple of years now grooming this player. You have been developing him as a player that you took at number 25, remember, in the draft. I mean, this wasn't a high draft pick. This was a first-round pick. But each year he has gotten better, and he's one of those gym rats that you love to have on your team. So you've invested all this time in him right now. He feels like a guy that you would want to continue to invest in.
Then there's the story of Obi Toppin. When he has gotten the opportunity to play, for the most part, he's been effective. Of course, he's behind Julius Randle.
Yeah.
It's a tough spot. You know, it's a very interesting situation because Randle has emerged as one of the top fours in the whole league, and that wasn't the case when they picked Toppin.
Yes.
So that's the situation.
And then Julius Randle's become a two-time All-NBA player in the last 3 years and an All-Star as well, so he's playing. And then you have Obi Toppin, and if I tell you when he starts and I give you his numbers, in 15 games that he has started in his career with the Knicks, he's averaging 20 a game, shooting 58% and 44 from three and 84 from the free throw line. So when he starts, he produces. Now, when he comes off the bench, the numbers go down. But they go down because his minutes go down. Only 13 minutes a game, the scoring goes down, and the shooting goes down a little bit. But what he shows you in that small sample size of starting is that when he gets big minutes, he gives you big performances. And oh, by the way, it's not just in the regular season. Let's remember the impact he had in the playoffs when Julius Randle had to miss time because of the ankle. Obi Toppin is a guy that was able to fill in well. And Wally, it's not just in the half court. I also think he makes you play faster. Obi Toppin has showed the league what he can do, and it's up to the Knicks to figure out how they can maximize that while also having Julius Randle on the roster.
Obi Toppin has done a great job with the opportunities he's been given in the New York Knicks uniform. That's what he's had to do. It's really hard when, Julius Randle is obviously going to get his 40 minutes a night, so Obi Toppin's going to play 4 or 5 minutes, even if he's playing well. You got to understand why the coach is going to go back to the All-Star and the All-NBA player. Sure. Now, Obi Toppin still is produced in minimal minutes, and that is so hard to do. But then when he gets those minutes, he gets into a flow, gets into a rhythm, that's when you really see how good a guy really is. And we've seen him produce when he's gotten those bulk minutes, and I know the league is paying attention. So I think Obi Toppin's career is going to be fine no matter where it ends up.
All right, Miles, McBride, Tom Thibodeau, as we know, like 9 guys in the rotation, but when he went to McBride, Alan, a lot of times McBride, in a limited role, made a valuable impact.
He's one of these guys, it's like the coaches all love him. Why? Because of what you just said. What you want out of players like Miles McBride, what you say to Deuce is you might not play every game, but be ready to play every game. Because that's the critical element when you are somebody that's coming off the bench in the role that he is, behind the players that he is playing behind. That's not easy to do. It sounds easy. The rest of us are looking to go, yeah, just stay ready, right? But that's not easy. And so for a young player to be able to do that, and when he's called upon, when in emergency, break glass, bring Deuce into the game, you know one thing you're going to get, and that is defense, and that is effort, and that is intensity. And what he also has started to bring along is the ability to knock down the three-point shot, the ability to at least get you some type of offense. but you love having guys like this on your team.
Another culture guy, a guy you drafted in the second round, a guy that has worked his butt off to be a really effective NBA player, a guy that gets after it exactly the way the coach wants to play, especially on the defensive end of the floor, guy who makes the front office look brilliant as a second-round pick that's playing impactful minutes in playoff games. I mean, Deuce McBride has done everything he's been asked for, and he's done a great job when he's gotten his opportunities. Finally,
Derrick Rose. Julius Randle has a great podcast with Paul George. And in that podcast, he talks how valuable Rose is behind the scenes. It's probably something we don't really think about or talk about. You're the former player. How impactful can Rose be even when he's not playing? It seems like very, very significant.
Well, you have one of those on every good team. We had it in Minnesota with Sam Mitchell. I mean, Sam Mitchell was our wise beyond years godfather in the locker room, and he really helped KG develop his career. He helped me develop my career. You know, I was playing, right behind him to start and then got the starting job, and he continued to push me to get better. That's what Derrick Rose is doing. That says a lot about Derrick Rose as a player. He's been a former MVP, borderline Hall of Famer, and now he knows it's his turn to pass the torch and help guys reach their potential, and having a guy like that in the locker room is very, very helpful.
Yeah, and again, the value of him is what you just said, the value in the locker room as a leader and something that he always embraced doing. There's also some value in the team option because it is $15 million, and that is something, as an expiring contract, can always be an asset at some point during the season if he's not playing. So there's all kinds of thoughts about which way this can go. They can pick up the option and keep him and have him around, or, of course, they decline the option to open up a roster spot.
All right, we'll see if Derrick Rose ends up staying with the Knicks. Meantime, big picture in the NBA, we got trading places everywhere. Chris Paul on a new team. We got CP3 and KP and Bradley Beal, all with new teams. We're talking about it coming up. We continue with the Knicks off-season special presented by Get Your Guide. Unforgettable travel experiences, off-season specials for us and the hockey crew starting at 8 o'clock on July 6th. And then the Rangers crew and John Gino will be with you at 9 o'clock on July the 6th. All right. Free agency doesn't start till next Friday. How about all the players that have...
The business has already begun.
The business. What do you call it? The NBA, the National
Business Association.
All right.
Get ready to get traded.
One. How about Bradley Beal? Last 4 years, the most he's played in terms of games while in a single season is 60. He's going to make $200 million over the next 4 years, and he's going to Phoenix. Do the Suns have enough money? Now, they got Ayton, they got Booker, they got Durant, they got Beal. They're going to play with four the whole time? How are they going to sign anybody else? What do you think about the fit?
Well, the owner wants to win, and the owner is not shy about spending money because he has a lot of it. He went after Bradley Beal, who I have a lot of respect for his game when he plays. This guy is as smooth and fluid as they come in the NBA. I think he's going to fit very well with Kevin Durant and Booker. Very similar player, though, I think, to Booker. Both of them are great shooters. Both of them can run pick and roll. Not pure point guards, though, so we'll see how that operates without having a real pure point guard in the lineup if they don't put Cameron Payne in that starting lineup with those two. It's a lot like the Boston Celtics. They're going to run a lot of ISO. They're going to try to run some pick and roll. Those guys are a little more pick and roll than Brown and Tatum, but this team has the best big three in the league, obviously, but we know in order to win, we saw the Denver Nuggets, you need a team to win in the NBA, and this team, though, has the capability to do it.
You need depth. So they're going to sign their own guys because you can do that and go over the cap or continue to go over the cap. They already are. They have 4 max contracts on this payroll already. 4 maxes. Think about it. 3 big ones and then Ayton that they had to match off his rookie deal. And Devin Booker is going to have to get used to playing point guard because that's going to be the plan there. That's the talk out of Phoenix that they liked what they saw in the playoffs. He's going to do that. We thought the era of the super team was over. But then Matt Ishbia, the owner of the Suns, says, no, we're going to bring this back. We're going to try to run it back one more time and see if we can get a super team to win one because it's been a while. I mean, the Golden State Warriors weren't built through free agency. They were built through the draft. Let's remember that. So not since the Miami Heat that was built through free agency won a championship 10 years ago. That's the last time. So we'll see if Phoenix can do it. They've got the talent. They'll be able to score. But can they defend?
And can Beal and KD stay healthy? And if they're not healthy, who's going to play?
I mean, you can ask every team that one in the league.
Right. All right.
That's going to be fun to watch.
Oh, yeah.
Around the world with Chris Paul, from Phoenix to Washington and now to Golden State. Key thing about him, this is the last year of his contract, Alan. So does that make him attractive, potentially more attractive? 37 years old.
Well, that's why he's moved around so much, is because his salary and the fact that it's an expiring has allowed teams to use it to acquire other players. I mean, he has reached that point of his career where he's like the future considerations of all these deals. And the future consideration is somebody eventually is going to figure out either we're keeping him at $25 million or we're buying him out and taking some of the cap space in the roster spot back and letting him go where he kind of wants to go, where his family has lived this whole time while he has gone from the Clippers to the Thunder to the Rockets, or the other way around, and then to Phoenix, and then to Washington, and now Golden State. I don't know if he's staying in Golden State. We'll see if he does. But he's at that point of his career right now where it's not as much fit as it is what that salary is as an expiring.
If he stays with the Warriors, does he fit?
No, I really don't think he does.
No.
He's a point guard that likes to have the ball in his hands. He's not a selfish point guard, obviously, but he is a floor general. The ball with the Golden State Warriors, it moves all over the court. It needs to be in Steph Curry and Klay Thompson's hands most of the time. So Chris Paul, at this age, he's not as effective as on the defensive end as he used to be. He's not as effective in pick and roll as he used to be, where he can create. And, the Golden State Warriors don't have a really great rim-running big man to throw those lobs up to. So I just don't think it's a good fit with the Warriors, and we'll see if he ends up there. I think he's probably going to move on somewhere else.
This is a period of transition for the Warriors. Bob Myers, GM for all the championship teams, stepped down. Mike Dunleavy Jr. is the new GM. He made the decision. He made the trade with Paul and Jordan Poole. We're going to talk about him in a moment. Next order of business, Alan, Draymond Green. What do they do about him? He's an unrestricted free agent.
Well, I mean, first order of business was to remove some issues on that roster. Jordan Poole leaving in a trade sends a big message that they want Draymond Green to stay. And they have said that, of course. And Draymond Green has said he wants to be a Warrior for life. When the season ended, that's his intention. And then you know what he did, Wally? He went on a vacation to the French Riviera with LeBron James. Because there's been a lot of talk about him ending up in L.A. with the Lakers, which on paper looks like a good fit, but financially it's really difficult for the Lakers to make a deal like that work. So the feeling is he will end up staying in Golden State. That's a very important piece, and they want to keep that group together. And moving Jordan Poole out of that locker room is a key piece, because obviously they had some issues at the start of the season. He's now out of there. But what now with he's out of there? He goes to Washington. For Jordan Poole, it's a bit of a wake-up call, isn't it?
It is. I didn't understand how, he benefited from no Steph Curry, so he had a big year, put up big numbers. I don't know if he's one of those bona fide max-type players. I think that kind of became very evident this past season. But now he's on a team where he's going to get all the shots he wants, all the minutes he wants, and we'll see if he can step up and be an impact max-type player. A lot of people have their questions about him. Obviously, Golden State, with all those shooters out there, there weren't enough basketballs to keep him happy and to keep him in rhythm. The key, I think, for Golden State also, Draymond Green has to take less money at this point in his career. He has to help the team financially with the salary cap to go get other players. We'll see if the league tries to steal Draymond Green away by overpaying him to get him away from the Warriors, because when he's not on the Warriors, the impact that that's going to make, if you maybe overpay Draymond a little bit, is going to be crucial for their championship aspirations. It's going to be interesting to see what the Draymond Green situation, but this was all about we need to get out from underneath Jordan Poole's contract, because we made a mistake with that one.
I think he may set a record for most shots attempted per game next year. What do you think? I mean, that's a possibility.
And if that happens,
if the coach lets him.
Yeah, he could set a record for most teammates trying to knock him out, too. If he keeps shooting that way.
Poole's on the Wizards, and more shots possibly available because Kristaps Porzingis is on his way to Boston. Boy, what an intriguing trade here. How does KP fit with the Celtics?
Listen, on the court, he fits everywhere in the NBA. He is a true unicorn. We loved him here in New York. He was an all-star with the New York Knicks, drafted 4th in the NBA draft, and he developed very well in a New York Knicks uniform. These past 2 stops, he played well in Washington, but he did not play a lot of games. The injury issue is always an issue with Kristaps Porzingis, but he is an outstanding basketball and NBA talent. So if he can put together everything in his career, he's given the opportunity to play for one of the most legendary franchises of all time in the NBA. Here's your ticket to greatness, Kristaps Porzingis. Can you punch it?
Did play 65 games last year, the most he's played in a single season since his rookie year with the Knicks. Celtics also got a #1 pick from last night's draft and a #1 pick next year with the trade of Marcus Smart to the Grizzlies. Smart, obviously, the Celtics leader, not only on the court but off the court, and the Grizzlies want him really maybe to change the culture, maybe try to help John Morant through his troubles. Very interesting that Smart is now on the Memphis Grizzlies. Two things, Alan. How does that impact Boston, and what does this mean for Memphis?
Yeah, well, I mean, you remember that originally it was supposed to be Malcolm Brogdon in the deal, and that fell through, and it turned into Marcus Smart, which shocked everyone because Marcus Smart is somebody, first of all, most tenured player on that roster, and then number two, a leader, a clear leader, a vocal leader, a leader on the court, a guy in big moments, not afraid to take the shot, and a defensive player of the year. So the fact that they've moved on from him is significant in Boston. But let's also talk about the impact he can have in Memphis. This is a huge get for the Grizzlies, whose locker room and their whole environment has been a mess as of late. As we know, of course, Dillon Brooks and everything happening with him. Desmond Bane has done a lot of chirping. Their own GM came out, Zach Kleiman, and said, this stuff's got to stop. We got too young. We've got to get more vets in here. Steven Adams is one, but bringing in Marcus Smart, he can be a new sheriff in town to try to get that team back on track.
Yeah, he was beloved up in Boston. We all know that. The Boston fans loved him. He's another guy that was drafted by the Celtics, been there his whole career. This is a big kind of heart type loss for this franchise. But at the same time, leaders to me, they have to be your best players on the floor. I'm sorry, leadership when I played, if you're not the guy that's getting it done every single night and you're not one of our top three players, it just is hard to be as impactful with your mouth than it is with how you play and what you do on the basketball floor. I don't think Boston's going to miss him that much because they have a pretty solid core of leadership in that locker room, and I think it's a good move because they got an uptick in talent in Kristaps Porzingis.
Although they have to straighten out their late game execution, and it's going to be very interesting to see who the Celtics point guard is going to be next year. Maybe Derek White, maybe Brogdon starts. All right, up next, unrestricted free agents. Free agency begins next Friday. Kyrie Irving can sign with whomever he wants. Vucevic of the Bulls and Fred VanVleet can go elsewhere as well. All right, we continue with our Knicks offseason special presented by Get Your Guide, and we have two offseason specials for you on July 6th. We are on here with our Knicks show at 8 o'clock, and then the hockey crew will be on after us 9 o'clock the night of July the 6th. All right, NBA free agency begins next Friday. Name number one potentially, Kyrie Irving. Was available to play 28 games. Wally with the Mavericks played in only 20 of those. Did average over 27 a game, but in those 20 games, the Mavs went only 8-12. Do the Mavs sign him or not? What do you think?
I don't know if it's a good fit with Luka Doncic. I just think Kyrie, listen, the guy can play. A lot comes off the floor, obviously, a lot of headaches throughout his career. But as far as what he does on that basketball court, he has not shown any loss of skill or losing a step at all. The guy can shoot, the guy can dribble, has an unbelievable handle, gets to the basket, and he produces when he plays. The question is, what does he do to your locker room, and how does he fit with other superstars? It didn't seem like a great fit in Dallas. It's going to be interesting to see if they move on from him or not. But I have always been a big Kyrie Irving fan because the guy can flat out play the game of basketball, and I have a lot of respect for his skill level.
Listen, they invested a lot in acquiring him, so they are going to sign him. It's now, of course, how long of a deal, how much money, what are they going to give him? Because I don't know if there's going to be a big market for Kyrie Irving. But what Nico Harrison and company did there, Mark Cuban in that organization, what they did to get him, they gave up a lot.
What?
They think it fits with Luka Doncic.
Dinwiddie and Dorian Finney-Smith, that's a lot?
They gave up pieces of a team that actually got to the Western Conference Finals, Wally, the year before. And they have gotten worse since that.
Brunson was why they got worse.
A big
not
part of it, yes.
Finney-Smith and...
Oh, no. They missed Dorian Finney-Smith. Bottom line is they invested a lot in getting him. They want to keep him.
All right. North of the border, Toronto's got a new coach. Nick Nurse, of course, is in Philadelphia now. How about Fred VanVleet? 7 years in the NBA, all with the Raptors. Does he leave?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the talk is that if he does leave there, if he opts out, Nick Nurse went to Philadelphia. And if James Harden doesn't stay with the Sixers, how would this fit look? Since he knows the system, he knows exactly what Nick Nurse wants as a coach. They have won together, and they're going to need somebody at that point guard position. And he doesn't necessarily have to be the point guard because you have Tyrese Maxey, and there's a lot of talk in Philly. They want to give him the ball more and see what he could be. So Fred VanVleet would be an interesting fit in Philly, but it only can happen, of course, if James Harden is not coming back.
I'm shocked at what happened up there in Toronto. I mean, Fred VanVleet became a very impactful player from being, second round or undrafted, whatever it is. And it was thanks to Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse is a great coach. Nick Nurse maximized, I think, his talents and his abilities. If he goes somewhere else, I can see a Kyle Lowry type situation where he is not as impactful of a player as he will ever be in his career as he was with the Toronto Raptors. That's just my gut feeling about Fred VanVleet. It's kind of a little bit of a shame what's happened up there with the Raptors after one just really rough year this season.
Meantime, guys, in Chicago, Lonzo Ball's going to miss all of next year after another knee procedure. Remember, they made that trade with Orlando for Nick Vucevic and Allen. This has not worked out at all for the Bulls, and now Vucevic is an unrestricted free agent.
Yeah, and they have to figure out what fits there, in Chicago. But what they know fit is Lonzo Ball. I mean, he was such a key cog. When he plays, they're a better team. I mean, that's basically what you know about the Bulls is they're missing a point guard. And as we know here in New York, when you don't have a lead guard, you've got some problems. So they've got to figure out that position, and then they'll see what happens with Vucevic if they keep him or if he ends up going somewhere else. But I don't know if he's going to be a hot commodity on the market. I mean, he's a good player. They did give up a lot for him when they brought him in from Orlando. But, again, they expect a lot more with the pieces they have there. Zach LaVine, obviously DeMar DeRozan as well.
All right, others who are unrestricted free agents. Wally, what stands out here? Max Strus and Gabe Vincent, of course, so key for Miami during the postseason. Each of those two guys stands to make some money here.
The guy I would want on my team out of this list is Brook Lopez. If that guy still has something left in the tank at his age, he causes a lot of problems defensively. He was one of the best defenders in the league this season, blocking shots. The way he shoots the three ball, that is a big man and a skilled big man that could help any team in the league win a championship.
Too, by the way. Jeremy Grant, very valuable.
Not a winner, though. Not a winner, Allen. You need winners. You want to win championships like the Nuggets? You need winners.
By the way, Naz Reid, there's a guy that's going to get paid by somebody. You bring in him. Toughness, local guy, by the way, defense, all of it. Love it.
And some scouts were wrong about Christian Wood.
Terrible fit in Dallas.
But
Christian Fantasy Wood.
One person on this panel was right about who was going to win the championship. We will revisit the prediction of predictions when we come back after this. Welcome back, everyone, as we continue with the Knicks off-season special presented by Get Your Guy. Denver, the NBA champs for the first time, a dominant performance throughout the playoffs from Nikola Jokic. Denver got help from everyone, including Christian Brown, even though it is spelled Braun. And Jamal Murray was great, averaging over 21 a game in the finals. Denver beat Miami in 5 games to clinch the title. Jokic the MVP. And guess who picked Denver to win the title all the way back in mid-January?
My team is the Denver Nuggets. They are going to win the championship. Absolutely. Nikola Jokic is surrounded by phenomenal talent. Michael Malone is maybe the best coach in the whole entire league. Now that Jamal Murray is healthy, they've already made the Western Conference Finals.
Got to give you props. I don't know how you did it in the middle of January.
I'm getting laughed at, too, in that clip. Seriously?
Hey, 3 years in a row, you picked the team to win the championship. And Alan, by the way, has been banished to the other end of the studio at the bar.
Hang on a second. Did we just do we have new technology at MSG Networks? Is that artificial intelligence? I don't remember any of that. I didn't really have that technology. That's
Don't worry,
amazing.
I'll tweet it at you every day for the offseason. Don't worry, I'll tweet it at you.
No memory of that.
We were all
I'll tweet and Instagram it at you.
What made you in the middle of January make that pick?
Well, Nikola Jokic is unbelievable. And the league, I have a feel for the league. You have to be young if you want to win. And this is a young team that is continuing to grow. And we seem to forget how good Jamal Murray was before his injuries. And he's in his prime, so you know he's going to come back healthy. And you put him alongside Nikola Jokic. And also, I played for Michael Malone in Cleveland. He was our defensive coordinator when we won 66 games. He is an outstanding NBA basketball coach with outstanding pedigree. And the way he pushed those guys and prepared those guys, he would not let them lose. I mean, they absolutely dominated the NBA playoffs. I think they went 16-4. Not too many teams ever in history have dominated the playoffs the way they did this season. And oh, by the way, Michael Malone is not satisfied. He's talking trash. He knows they're the team to beat next year and probably for the next 5 years to come because they can keep that core together and that core loves each other. They have great chemistry. Look out. The Denver Nuggets is a dynasty in waiting.
Alan and I were laughing at you. You had the last laugh. All right.
That's right.
And of importance here,
Keep
you just
them
mentioned,
over there.
Denver is locked in terms of having their guys signed. You don't forget about Aaron Gordon,
I know.
Michael Porter Jr., Contavious, Caldwell Pope, all locked in. One guy who may not be locked in here, if we take a look at player option free agents, is James Harden. Has not made it official as to whether or not he's going to opt in or opt out with the 76ers. KP has opted in now in the Celtics. Chris Middleton has opted out. The other guys on this panel have opted out, except for Gary Trent Jr., who has opted in. Alan, when we talk about James Harden, there had been all those rumors that he would opt out and maybe go to Houston, but maybe, in fact, he stays with Philadelphia. What do you think?
Yeah, and that is the conversation that they're having right now in Philadelphia, is that Daryl Morey wants him back. Nick Nurse, in his press conference, was certainly interested in having him back, although he didn't beg or anything like that in the press conference. And then there's, of course, the Houston Rockets of it all, because there was this sense that the Rockets wanted him back, that's where he was his happiest when he was playing in Houston, and he had hinted to he wanted to be that player that he was there, which was the high-usage player that was more score first, and then everybody orbits around him. With Joel Embiid, he's got to be a facilitator, and he took a lot of criticism for not getting him the ball in fourth quarters of very important playoff games. But if the Rockets aren't interested, because that's a very young team, there's really not many options, and that, of course, would be to stay in Philadelphia and run it back for a team that can't get while he passed the second round.
I love what James Harden did this year. He had 44, I think, in the first game up in Boston to give them a 1-0 lead. Oh, by the way, it was Joel Embiid, the guy that was hurt.
What about Game 7?
It doesn't, yes, okay,
At
Game
home.
7 was tough, but they had a chance Game 6. You know, they had some open shots. I think Joel Embiid getting hurt was more the reason why the Philadelphia 76ers didn't advance, and Joel Embiid not being himself the way he played in the regular season. Regular season, Joel Embiid was great. Playoff Joel Embiid was not great. James Harden had 2 40-point games in that series. Let's not forget that. James Harden still has a lot left in the tank. I would keep that team together, those two guys.
All right. Meantime, restricted free agents, meaning that these are players whose teams can match respective offers from other teams. Alan, take a look. What do you think? We know Austin Reeves probably going to make a lot of money. He was great with the Lakers.
LeBron James loves Austin Reeves, and obviously Rui Hachimura. I mean, there's a trade that the Wizards made where they sent him to the Lakers, and the Lakers acquired Hachimura, who really hadn't done much. He was a lottery pick, hasn't done much in a Wizards uniform. And then he goes to the Lakers, and he kind of finds his game and finds himself, and what a contributor he became. The Lakers really liked what they had, even though they got swept in the conference finals. With that group, and they hadn't really been together for a long time, they feel like they can be a team that can make a run next year with LeBron healthy and, of course, Anthony Davis healthy as well. So those two guys are going to get paid, but they're going to stay in L.A., I think, Wally.
Interesting. Hey, I've been saying it behind the scenes for a while now. I'd like to see LeBron James finish his career at the world's most famous arena. Could it possibly happen? I played with LeBron. It would be a real treat to watch him in that building right there across the street. We'll see. That's a long shot. That's a big flyer. But if it doesn't work out in L.A.
He just demolished his home there, a $36 million home. He just demolished it to rebuild it.
Whatever.
I don't think he's leaving
He comes
L.A.
to New York for a year or two. We'll see.
Alan, your time over there has been served. You can come back over.
Well, there's no bartender, Bill. I need you
the
here.
off season.
Bill drank all the Michelob Ultra. He drank it all.
At least for a night, the Wally Wall has become the Wemby Wall. Breaking down the #1 pick in the draft. Coming up. Stay with us, everybody. Welcome back, everyone. Off-season specials as well on July 6th. We're on with a Knicks show at 8 o'clock. And then the hockey folks, John Giannone and company, will be on July 6th at 9 o'clock. NBA draft picks 11 through 20 of note. Jet Howard played for his father, Juwan, at Michigan, went 11th to Orlando. And at the bottom there, 20th overall, Cam Whitmore. Injury history dropped him. He was initially considered maybe a top 5 pick. Maybe could be a great bargain for Houston at number 20. Over now with more of the Wemby Wall, we're calling it, with Alan and Wally, guys.
Well, settle down. This is still the Wally Wall. We're not ready to change names yet, but he's going to certainly make an impact in the league. And there's all different ways that he plays. And I always thought it was funny, like the last couple of years, everybody's been a unicorn, right, Wally? Mm-hmm. Like everybody's a unicorn. Yep. It all started with Kristaps Porzingis, but we're saying about players. LeBron James said this guy's not a unicorn, he's an alien, because we've never seen anything like him. And we're going to show some plays that demonstrate that, including a 7'3" guy, Wally, that can shoot threes.
Yeah, this move is scary, and the handles are outstanding. He settles catching the ball really far out there, through the legs, crossover, gets his defender on skates, just gets a ton of room, step back, really covers 5 to 8 feet of ground with one step back. He has a high fluid release. I mean, that shot reminds me a lot of Kevin Durant, who's one of the most gifted scorers that we've ever seen in NBA history. And if he can be a high percentage shooter, if he can not take bad shots, take good shots, he's going to put up some scary efficiency numbers with his jumper the way it looks right now.
You mentioned Kevin Durant. You were teammates with him when he was a rookie. He came into the league, and the knock on Kevin Durant was also too skinny. Got to get stronger. That's what they're saying about Wembanyama as well. And what he says is, no, I don't got to bulk up. You got to skinny up. Just get strong, but stay lean. Now, he looks like a guy that you can push out of the paint, that you can bang, and he's going to have a hard time in the NBA. But we'll show you here, he can handle it.
Yeah, and this is really impressive, the way he deals with the physicality of this defender who's defending him. Look at the bodying, pushed him off his spot. That's great initial defense on a cross screen. That's exactly what coaches want you to do. Try to get a big guy like that out of the paint, so he's going to be working to get inside around his shooting range. But look at the way he dribbles. He takes his time, he sets up his defender, and that is just a great use of his body. You have to be able to use your body as an NBA player to kind of feel where your defender is, spin off your defender, seal your defender. That is an outstanding move. Now, I imagine that with 2-3 dribbles and his back to the basket, and he's making possible spin moves and crab dribbles, that there's going to be a lot more help coming, and there's going to be guards in the NBA coming for steals. He's going to have to learn to make his moves a little bit quicker and more efficient, because if he puts the ball down 2 or 3 times, we've seen it with Julius Randle. They are coming to attack and get turnovers and turn the ball over. So that's one thing he's going to have to do. I think if he keeps it to 1-2 dribbles, he's going to be fine in his NBA career.
All right, so we showed you something that looked like Kevin Durant 2 plays ago. This play might feel like a lot of Giannis Antetokounmpo. Off the rebound, again, let's remember, this guy's 7'3", 7'5". He can bring it up the floor.
Yeah, it's just in the handles. It's like it's an extension of his body, the way he dribbles the ball at that size. Great hands to reach and get that long rebound. I mean, that rebound was out here. He used his long arms, tipped it to himself, secured the board. Here he says, all right, I can handle it. And this is where he causes matchup problems. This guy, he's mobile, but he's not used to guarding people out there. And look at the way he just got the seal. When you get even with a defender and you can square your shoulders up, it's over, because he can shoot from different angles, and that's exactly what he does here. Help should be coming here from somewhere, because he is so big and he's wide. He's got a little bit of a wide shoulder base that you can't get to that shot. That's just really good, efficient, smart basketball, and I think the key to him also is in these plays, he did not look panicked and rushed. A lot of young players, when they come into the NBA, they go too fast. I remember Kevin Garnett always telling me, slow down, you're going to be fine. The game starts to slow down as you go along in your NBA career. But right now, Wembanyama, playing against pros, playing against men in the French First Division, he looks like he's got that type of composure to be ready to go right when he sets foot on an NBA floor.
Absolutely. A very mature young man who has played professional basketball overseas now for 3 seasons, bringing his game bill to the NBA next season.
All right, boys, coming up, different side of Julius Randle coming up, and also Jalen Brunson. What a remarkable postseason for the Knicks point guard we'll discuss coming up. Welcome back, everyone. So free agency begins in the NBA next Friday. We're going to be on the air on July 6th to recap all that happens. When we talk about the Knicks, since we were last on, we knew that Julius Randle played with an injured left ankle. We did not know that he was going to be headed for surgery. Yeah. He's right now in a cast, and you saw him on a podcast with Paul George talking about the fact that he really is very inactive right now as he begins his rehabilitation. He was fantastic in the playoffs, despite the fact that he was not 100%. I think it puts his performance into a whole different light. At times he struggled, but overall, pretty courageous to play on the injury, no?
It's just crazy how, the Knicks had just exceeded all expectations. He had another career year, exceeded a career year a few years ago. And then down the stretch, you roll your ankle, and it just leaves a sour taste in a lot of people's mouth. I couldn't disagree more with the way he was treated to close the season. It's the nature of the beast. You always look for a scapegoat. Why did the Knicks Knicks lose to the Miami Heat. We wanted to win that series. First of all, it was great for the Knicks to get to the second round of the playoffs. Let's not forget that. Julius Randle was playing on one leg, played like a warrior all season long. He's a very durable player. Jalen Brunson was outstanding because he had a real matchup advantage in that series, and he's absolutely a clutch, outstanding playoff-type player. But Julius Randle is a guy that the Knicks can build around for a lot of years to come. He's in the middle of his prime, and I think he has a lot of good seasons to go. And he's going to do the work also to get healthy after this surgery.
I thought it was interesting, the thing that he said to Paul George in that podcast was when you look at the league and you see how much balance there is in the league with how good a lot of teams are, and there aren't really one dominant team like there used to be, he said, he didn't think the Knicks were that far off.
Yeah.
Which is, again, the idea what the Knicks are looking to practice this offseason, which is continuity and consistency and just the group that they have and taking care of their own guys and making sure that they go into next season healthy and picking up where they left off with a team that really believed they should have gotten out of that second round. Injuries held them back in that series, and especially for Randle, because his game 5 against Cleveland was heading into one of those epic performances right before he hurt that ankle.
All right, so the Knicks last year exceeded expectations, 47 wins, win their first playoff series since 2013. Expectations are going to be different next year.
Of course. You make
You
the
love
second,
that.
I mean, that's what you want.
That's what you want as a player,
As opposed to sneaking up on teams? Because sometimes maybe you benefit from the other teams not
Phil,
thinking.
When you sneak up on a team, that means nobody thought you were good. Like now you have the respect of the league that they know you're good.
But I'm just saying, can you not benefit from that?
No.
But you're not every year.
No.
Okay.
When
No,
you
you
walk
can't be.
into a building and you know you're good, it's a lot better than walking into a building and having to prove you're good.
Yeah, you want to advance the
Knicks-
cause.
yes.
You want to advance the cause. You got to the second round. You have another winning season. What you're trying to do now is stack them, is continue to put them together. They have a group that they believe can do that. They have a group that they saw in the second half of the season and also in the first round of the playoffs. And look, Miami had a great run, and the Knicks were one basket away from forcing a Game 7. They were one play away from getting to a Game 7 in their building against that team. So that's how close they feel they were and how close they feel they are.
And I think it's worth pointing out again that Randle's basically playing on one leg,
Yes.
which we didn't know about when we were watching that in real time.
I knew. You know how good at what he's capable of. He was not right. You could tell. You want those pressure and that expectations as a player. When you get them, that's what it's all about, to be in that conversation to win a championship. Now, it's a different type of pressure to push through and make it happen, but the Knicks have the core to do it.
Look, bottom line is they have 2 All-Stars on this team. Jalen Brunson wasn't named an All-Star yet, but everybody in the league recognizes him as an All-Star level player. They've got 2. When you've got 2, you can win.
Any last predictions?
Let's go. Let's get to the start of the season. I can't wait. The NBA and the Knicks are fun.
Let's get to the
time.
Summer League first.
Fantastic.
That begins next
League.
month.
You
We'll
worry
also
about
see you
the
on
Summer League.
July the 6th. Thanks for watching, everybody.